So I want to begin. I think I had said that we were going to start with the National Geographic, but we're actually going to start. I want to start with this graphic that you'll find in your BB Learn folder, just to again kind of get a familiarity, and then we'll dive through and highlight some of the info on the National Geographic article. So, a history of alcohol, and in the National Geographic, I should just say Nat Geo. In the Nat Geo article, there's also going to be reference that actually like the earliest kind of residues of alcohol are found about 9,000 years ago in China. And it was most likely a rice wine of sorts. And so even though this starts with 7,000, there are other estimates that say 9,000. And it should also be noted that, I don't know, anytime we talk about like history, whether that's thousands of years ago, 10,000s of years ago, millions of years ago, it's hard to fathom, right? It's like actually difficult to fathom. It's difficult to fully, wrap your head around what that looks like. But I think we can try, right? I think we can try to think about what that looks like, or just at least recognize like that sounds like a shit. Pardon my language. That sounds like a long time ago. That sounds like a long time ago, right? And so here, let's start with this one, all right? So history of alcohol, again, I'm using this, okay? So 7,000 years ago, some fermented drinks were used by early Egyptians. Some of the earliest alcoholic drinks were thought to have originated in China, and like I mentioned, some other estimates even bump that up to 9,000. 6,000 years ago, grapevines in Mesopotamia, present-day Iraq, thriving winemaking enterprise in 4,000 BC. And then in 3,000 BC, surah, a drinking distilled from rice, was commonly found in India. Again, in Egypt, strides were hitting with wine distribution across the Mediterranean, so we see a little bit more of that. In 1500 BC, the Greek goddess of winemaking and wine harvest, Dionysus, appeared. Okay, was known for drunkenness and ecstasy. 800 BC, by this time, barley and rice and beer were products in India. And I can't remember which article it's in because there's a lot to sift through. But we could even, I'm going to take a big step here. We could even go back to 12,000 BC, which is kind of the start of agriculture. And I think it's even in the Nat Geo article that there are some that want to argue that agriculture and like the settling down and the development of crop and the cultivation of crop, some want to argue that it wasn't necessarily for bread making, but for beer brewing. Okay? The grains and cereals and other kind of malts and oats and barley, that wasn't necessarily cultivated for bread, but actually for beer. And some estimates have that, again, kind of 12,000, 10,000. So there's numbers that always change here. There's numbers that are constantly either being challenged or instantiated. That's the right word, right? But anyway. 800 BC, by this time, barley and rice beer were produced in India. 300, through drunkenness, became more common. Hebrews adopted wine for all ages. Jewish culture also believed for rituals and ceremonial. Thoughts on alcohol, 65 AD, Christian writings, drunkenness continued to be criticized, but the use of alcohol in moderation for medical purposes was not prohibited. With the religion of Islam, Muhammad demanded his followers refrain from drinking. Buddhists and Hindu Brahmins were also known for abstaining completely from alcohol. We see distillation start to occur around 1100 AD. Okay? Middle Ages, again, Europe introduced varieties of alcohol. In the Nat Geo, they reference, I can't ever pronounce it, Weistenstephan. That sounds right. Weistenstephan Brewery, which was founded by Benedictine monks in AD 1040 and is the oldest continually functioning brewery in the world. It's still continuing to function. You could even probably find some of that beer in some local shops here in Moscow, interestingly enough. yada, yada, yada. First cocktail was found in the 19th century, in the late 1800s. And you can find some other stuff. All right. So let's dive into this Nat Geo. And again, this graphic and the other graphic that I have, again, being kind of helpful, talking about rum. We'll go through it. So this other graphic is the more colorful one, right, where it's got these on here. So again, kind of adding into it, mead, 7,000, wine, 5,400. Iran, Zagros Mountains, beer, Zagros Mountains again in Iran, the Caucasus region, kind of in that area of the world. Vodka, circa 8th century, thought to be either during 8th century Poland or 8th century Russia. And I think I had made mention last week when talking about the spirits that there's the ongoing dispute between Poland and Russia on which one was first. And so, still going strong. Then big jump here, 1405 AD, first written record of whiskey is found in Ireland. That's pretty good Irish accent there. Tequila is found in the 16th century, first produced in what will become the city of Tequila. Gin, and what is it added with? What is, it's distilled grain, but what's added to give it that flavor? Juniper, right? Juniper berries. Said to be created around 1650 AD. It was originally introduced as medicine, again for kidney disorders, by Dr. Sylvius in Holland. So again, like going back to the question in the previous video here, not question, but the observation that alcohol has a rich history in and with medicine, right? And including with gin. And then rum. The first distillation of rum took place on the sugarcane plantations of the Caribbean when molasses was discovered to have a capability of being fermented into alcohol. So again, the addition of sugarcane and molasses, 17th century, and also there's a long history of the way that rum influenced just the trade throughout the Caribbean. So Caribbean, tomato, yada, yada, yada. All right. So those two flyers, again, just kind of painting a picture of like a long history with booze. So let's dive in now to the 9,000-year love affair with booze. Okay? And so with this, again, I'm just going to kind of bounce around. You've got a link to the article there in BB Learn, and I really recommend diving into this because it's a well-written article. It's engaging. It's allows us to, again, kind of like have some pretty worthwhile insights and questions for the history of alcohol. There's going to be some terminology and some names that I don't know, that I'm not familiar with, but I think, the overall takeaways here I think are absolutely applicable to and for us. So I tell you what, we will start with the 9,000-year love affair in the next video.